Absolutely. Lots to talk about. Let's speak now to the leader of the Democratic Alliance, John Steenhuisen. Good evening. Thank you very much for your time. I would imagine you are pleased to hear that we've moved to lockdown level 1 and also that political gatherings can now happen.
Absolutely, Sally. I think good news for South Africa this evening, and we certainly welcome it. I think that heading into the local government elections this year requires that political activity to be able to take place. A lot of us parties have had to adapt to an online direct communication model, and I think we've done it very well. But, there's obviously door-to-door and registration that needs to take place, so that's going to be particularly helpful. But obviously the big news tonight is the vaccines. We need to vaccinate at a far higher level. We need to vaccinate far quicker. And we need to do everything we can to prevent a third or fourth wave from coming. Otherwise, sadly, I think we'll be sitting here going back into, to level 3 or to level 4, which is the last thing we want, and we should be doing everything we can to avoid it.
I have to ask you about the Sunday Times article where you would say you would block any no-confidence vote against Cyril Ramaphosa. You see him as a reformist, and that's a quote from the article. I'm wondering why you're changing your position on Cyril Ramaphosa.
We haven't changed our position. I think that we've been very clear that what South African politics needs is a realignment, and that it has become very clear that the reform agenda is not going to be possible.
You say you haven't changed your position, but I need to quote to you from an article where you said, and I'm quoting here, Ramaphosa can't pretend to be a pure balloon that floated above all this dirt. Also to the press club in December last year, you said the ANC cannot change its spots. It'll never commit to the reforms we need. This so-called reformist presidency of Cyril Ramaphosa was the best shot they would ever have. He didn't even come close. Why have you changed your position now?
Well, it hasn't been a change of position.
It's
been very clear that while the president, Sally, with respect, if I could just have a chance to finish.
Sure.
The president has been, his economic recovery plan and T. Mbowene's document are very clearly the type of reforms that South Africa needs. But the reality is that his party is the biggest impediment to being able to achieve that. And if you look at both those speeches that you refer to, both of them refer very specifically to how we break the logjam in South African politics and how we build a new majority at the centre. Obviously, the ANC is not going to be in power forever. They will slip below 50% at some stage. And what South Africa is going to need is those people who believe in the growth agenda, who believe in the Constitution, the rule of law, a social market economy.
Sure, so Pule Mabe has just said to us, Pule Mabe has just said to us, you can't pick and choose. Basically, the ANC's a package deal. You can't say, oh, well, we'll work with the reformists as we see them, such as Cyril Ramaphosa. Also, Musi Maimane, former leader, says that this move is admission of defeat from the DA, that you've reached the limits of your growth. What's your response to that?
Well, how ironic that. I mean, I can pull out the hundreds of speeches that Mr. Maimane gave talking specifically about the realignment of politics and precisely this agenda. I mean, our whole mission is to be the core of a new majority by 2024 to bring about the open opportunity society for all. Now, South Africa has got two choices. There's going to be a coalescence around the radical left and the type of policies that are going to put us in the fast track to a place like Venezuela, or it's going to be the rationalist centre parties and reformers from within all those parties that come together to form a bulwark against South Africa, falling into the hands of the radical economic transformation, the nationalisers and the land grabbers, and we have to prevent that. That is the only way we're going to prevent the slide to a failed state like Venezuela or Zimbabwe or Cuba. It's going to require a strong majority at the centre of South African politics. I'm unashamed that I want to position the DA at the centre of South African politics to be a great ally for the growth agenda in South Africa so we can get off this terrible trajectory of high unemployment, low growth and maladministration onto a new trajectory of growth and prosperity that can only come about if reforms are driven through Parliament. That is going to require a majority to do so. That is the reality. The scenario, the alternative scenario, is far worse than the right-minded centre rational individuals in all parties coming together to stand firm at that centre.
Well, thank you very much for chatting to us this evening, DA leader John Steenhuisen.